Good afternoon, folks. We're so glad you're able to join us this evening for this presentation for Sullivan Middle School. And we got several folks that are going to join us this evening, as well as share a lot of information about the Virtual Academy program. And we are again excited to have you here. If I could take a second to introduce myself, my name is Walter Wolf, and I am the director of the Flexible Learning Center. And I am several programs that I oversee there. But in addition to that, I also oversee virtual secondary, which is the middle and high school component of our program. So Mr. McQuiston will not be on the program this evening, but he is the Elementary Virtual Academy Coordinator. And you will see here, and we will talk a little bit later as far as the liaisons for the various schools. And again, at the end of this meeting, we will have the contact information as far as how you can best reach them. At this time, I'd like to introduce Dr. Roland, and he is going to introduce his team to you this evening.
Good evening, Falcon family. Although we are a little bit farther apart under new circumstances, you're still a Sullivan Falcon. We're still family. We haven't parted ways yet. That goes to our incoming 6th graders, our 7th graders, and our 8th graders. We're just doing things a little bit different. My name is Juan Roldán. Buenas noches, familias, padres de familia. Les quiero agradecer por estar presente en este momento. Me place decirles que sus hijos todavía son parte de Sullivan y no han dejado el colegio. Estamos haciendo las cosas un poco diferente, pero bienvenidos. I'm going to switch to English as my other language, and I'll just tell you that we are excited for this year. Our students will be supported greatly. It's about relationships. It's about connections. I would like for you to remember the names of the individuals that you will hear from in our Sullivan in-person school, because they're here and they're here for you. They're here for our students. All the information that we will share with our in-person students, anyone, all the parents who have elected to have their kids join the virtual academy will have the same access to the information. I would like to, before I introduce our team, give a special recognition to our school improvement chair, Ms. Kelly Scott. She's our chair, but also a parent extraordinaire. She's one that has helped Sullivan overcome many challenges and improve, and we take that with grateful hearts. This time, I would like to introduce our team. If we can start with Ms. Shackelford.
Falcon Nation, I'm so excited to be here with you guys and serving as your liaison between Sullivan and the virtual, making sure you stay connected and knowing that I am here for you guys and ready to connect with you, answer your questions, and make this our best year ever. Thank you so much for letting me be this part in this family, and I'm very excited about this year.
6th grade.
Good evening. I'm Ms. Hannibal. I'm the 6th grade assistant principal. And for updates that only apply to 6th grade, make sure to join our Remind. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Dawn Siebold. I'm the 6th grade school counselor. We're very excited to welcome all of our new 6th graders to middle school, and we look forward to meeting you.
7th grade.
Good evening. I'm Sandra. I am the 7th grade counselor. Good evening. I'm Gwen Lindsay, the 7th grade assistant principal. And together, Dr. Holland also has a ask the parents from 7th grade showing that connection.
And I know there was a little audio situation there. So that was Dr. Holman to your right and Miss Lindsay. Dr. Holman is the 6th grade counselor and Miss Lindsay is the 7th grade counselor and the 7th grade assistant principal. Let's go to 8th grade.
Hello, good evening. My name is Graham Thomas. I'll be the 8th grade assistant principal this year. Very excited for our 8th graders. I've been with them since the 6th grade and very excited for them to finish out their middle school careers.
Hello, I'm Ebony Foster, school counselor for 8th grade this year. Very excited about what's to come, a lot of unknowns, a lot of, expectations, and yet I'll be here to navigate all of that with you. So looking forward to what 8th grade is like.
Thank you all for sharing. And we will get started now with a little more of the presentation. Some of you may have been with us back in July, and we did an overview of what we were trying to put together for this virtual academy. And since that time, which seems in one regard like eons ago, and then in another, it's just such a short time ago. And we have really put a lot of things together and in place. So you may hear some similarities, but then again, more detail with what has transpired over the past several weeks. Students still will remain assigned to their school for the 2020-2021 school year. And you've already been welcomed by the admin team for Sullivan, and that is your school family. And nothing will change about that for this coming year. Even though you're served in the virtual realm and you are tied to teachers in the virtual academy, it's still nonetheless your homeschool family is going to be Sullivan. I will say that class sizes will be larger than the typical traditional learning environment. We are working through this, and let's say we will keep it hopefully between around 45 to 50. And again, in the virtual realm, it lends itself to be able to serve students in a higher capacity. That does not mean that your students will not receive the attention that those in the brick and mortar face-to-face will receive. In fact, your students, and we're going to talk about this, will be in session 5 days a week. Brick and mortar building 2 days a week, or on the C day, it alternates, so it could be 3 days a week. So there will be ample opportunities for your child or children to interact with teachers through the virtual academy. We do follow the same school calendar. Nothing changes with that. Any holidays, teacher work days, all of those still are followed by virtual academy students and families. First day for students officially is September 8th. And in a few minutes, we will get to a slide about MAPS testing, and Dr. Roland will touch on that. But basically, students begin officially September 8th. Middle school students must commit for that entire year. And do understand, it's not that we are trying to make things difficult for families. It's just that between schedules and teachers, it's too much of hitting a moving target if at any time students can change from virtual to brick and mortar and vice versa. So because these are year-long classes, we really need to hold it as true as we can to the beginning of the year. So there is that fine balance between the students being served in either area and the teachers who we need to serve those students. Attendance, I want to be clear on this. It's going to be different than back in the spring. The state gave a lot of leeway for districts, and it was because things went really south, I guess you'd say, quickly come the middle of March. And it was a lot of pulling things together to how can we finish out the school year, but how can we do this in such a way with what attendance policy and law is. So there was leeway given back then. This attendance is going to be taken. We will follow South Carolina regs. And I will get to other slides about that. But bottom line, students do not have that leeway of, I may show up for class today, or I may not. And again, they will be chronic attendance if they're missing too many days. There is a chance for family court because, again, policy is going to be followed. Virtual students still must participate in state and local testing. The MAPS test is mandated by South Carolina legislature, and testing is for kindergarten to 9th grades. And again, we're working through this, and the middle schools have been working through this. So I'm going to kind of tag off now with Dr. Roland to give a better explanation of how Sullivan is going to be handling this.
Thank you, Dr. Wolf. So during the week of Leap Week, which is starts next Monday, we will meet our A-Day cohort and B-Day cohort in person. And then we have planned for our virtual students to come to Sullivan Middle School to be tested to receive a benchmark called MAPS. And we have designated a Thursday and Friday to be these days. We sent a survey earlier this month, about a week ago, asking parents if they plan, the parents who are in the virtual care, whose students are in the virtual academy, if they needed transportation, and also if they were going to send their children to the school to be tested or not. That might have been the link that you saw as opting out. We know that there's no penalty with MAPS if we don't take it, but it is a requirement that we test every student and offer the opportunity. In order for us to plan accordingly and be able to meet all the logistics and the new guidelines, we needed to know, and we still need to know, which kids are going to show up on Thursday. Currently, as you may have heard on Monday, the district has, the school board has, it was revealed in our school board meeting that the district is exploring the opportunity or the possibility of offering MAP tests at home. And in order to do so, the district has to meet some state requirements. At this time, as we don't know exactly what are all the state requirements to be able to administer MAP testing at home, but as soon as the district will know, the district will let the schools know, and we will be able to communicate that option to our families. Para los padres de familia que hablan español, en este momento el requisito para tomar MAPS es en el colegio. Hay una opción donde el distrito está explorando la posibilidad de los estudiantes tomar el examen en la casa, pero en este momento no sabemos cuáles son todos los requisitos. El distrito está colaborando con el Departamento de Educación, y una vez que sepamos algo, les vamos a comunicar esta información. Dr. Wolf, I think that's it.
Okay, thank you, sir. This is a slide that was taken back from when we met the first time in July. Students will be able to participate in athletics and extracurricular activities and events that are offered through Sullivan. Please do understand that they still must meet eligibility requirements for sports or other activities. And again, transportation would not be provided for these extracurricular activities. So that would fall back on the family to take care of transportation. Technology. As you know, Rock Hill Schools does provide a device now for learning, one-on-one initiative, and it does go down to kindergarten. And we're excited to have that this coming year, just for the fact that It's going to be a much simpler process for those who are involved within the virtual academy. Families without internet service, through a state grant and a wonderful partnership with Comporium, they are offering internet services. And this is truly a hard wiring to the house for internet. And again, when applications, or when you completed the application, that was one of the questions. So they are reaching out to those that have answered no, that you did not have internet service at that time. We do understand that Comporium may have some limitations in particular areas of our district. And if that's the case, then a hotspot can be set up for that. Students, again, will use technology. This is one of those non-negotiables. It is not going to be possible to be a part of Virtual Academy and not have a device that you can connect to the internet. It will not be taken care of through packets, through textbooks, through just, whatever. It has to be a device that can access the internet. Tech support. Students will need to pick up their school laptops at their assigned schools. However, with laptops, we understand that there are times that they do need to be repaired. So if it's something that breaks down, if it needs to be exchanged for a loaner, it can be brought to the Flex Center, and I've put that application address up there. Easy one to remember, 1234 Flint Street Extension. Some of you may have known that in the past is the old Castle Heights Middle School. So that's where it would be able to be dropped off. You'd come in through the front doors that says adult education, and we would go from there. In the future, they are working on a central number that would be used to address laptop issues. That would be a number that could be called to walk through maybe a problem that could really be handled over the phone, or it may be that it is an issue that they say, look, just going to have to bring that by to the Flex Center and we will do a loaner and get this one back to you as soon as it's repaired. So again, that number will be forthcoming. Exceptional student services. Again, if you have a child that has an IEP, that student will still have accommodations that will be met through teachers and staff through the schools and the virtual academy. There will still be IEP team meetings, and we understand concerns that you have with sending your student to school for either their health needs or possibly someone in your home. So these IEP meetings can take place virtually, so it does not have to be a face-to-face meeting. I want to put this up, let you look at it for just a second.
Dr. Wolf, if I could interrupt,
Sure.
I'm not sure you're sharing your screen because the slides are not appearing.
I'm sorry. I wish I'd have known that before.
I was waiting to see if you just hadn't put them up yet, but
No, I am. Let me try this again. That's share. Is that better?
there you go. Thank you.
You are welcome. Let me start that. Boy, I wish I'd have known that early on. I've had these great slides. All right. Let me go to start slideshow. I'm not going to from current slide. How's that? All right. Thank you, Mr. Frost, for pointing that out. I apologize that we've just been looking at the staff, all those pretty faces, but you missed my slides. So if you take a second here, you're going to see 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. And you can take a moment to kind of see the way the cores are broken down as well as the electives. And the reason they're spaced out with electives is there are not as many elective teachers as there are for the core. So to have just across the board for first period, it would not be conducive for the teachers to meet the needs of everybody. So you can see 6th, 7th, and 8th, and we're going to talk through this a little bit more as we progress with slides. Students are expected to attend all 4 classes and 1 elective class each day. And we're going to go into a little more detail about that. Again, understand, they will be taking 4 classes. This is not that optional. Oh, I may just take science and social studies today, but I'm not going to do anything in math and history. That is not an option. As you saw, 10-minute breaks were provided between each class. There's time for lunch and recess in the middle of the day. Attendance, again, will be taken, and the district will follow the state and board policy for the attendance. I would also recommend the final bullet here, do your best to set up a permanent space in your home where your child can work without distraction. This is really key. And I get this, because if they're just moving around haphazardly, there's not that routine of getting up in the morning, going to this place, and it becomes this ritual of, this is when I'm going to get work done and where I get work done. I would not recommend setting up this space in front of a television. I would not recommend setting it up in front of a gaming platform. My boys, they're a lot older now, both work for the school district. One was very much with sports, the other's 6 foot plus. I wouldn't have set up their permanent space in front of the refrigerator. I think way too many distractions for them. So that's what it comes down to, is just limit the distractions for your child. Let them have a place that they can basically call their own, one that you can check in on, make sure that work is being done. And that's really key, I think, to helping students progress through this. Student supply list, many of you probably have already seen this. It's posted on the web. Loose leaf binder and paper. And as you see, the 6 loose leaf binder dividers, that's for, so you have one for each core area, is one for the elective. Colored highlighter, pencils, colored pencils, pens and pencils, earbuds, headset. This is really important because, again, it helps to cut down on the distractions. I say the mic is optional because the computers do have a built-in mic. However, I know with my laptop, if I'm not using, like now, the headset, the clarity and my speech tends to seem a little muffled and quiet. The mic just helps to bring forth better clarity. And again, if your child's presenting in a small group, large group, whatever, you know, you want them, and he would want or she would want to be heard during whatever it is that they are sharing. Optional is a planner, calendar, digital, or a hard copy. I think this is really going to be important too, because again, it's a different environment, and students really have to be about business and planning and staying organized. And I just really see this as being very helpful. As you notice on the right, it says Connexus courses and elective courses. For Connexus, that is the program, the digital learning platform that we are using for Rock Hill Schools. It will look similar. If some of you have ever spoken or had a child using GradPoint, they're both put out by Pearson Products. So this Connexus is that digital platform. Some courses, the way they're designed, Connexus will be sending you to your home address resources that would be needed for that course. However, there may be some electives or other courses where some other materials could possibly be needed. You would know that ahead of time from the teachers. Again, cost would be minimal. If assistance is needed, please reach out to your liaison so we can work through that if additional assistance is needed. Let's talk some about the core classes. Again, they're going to be offered just as they will for students who are face-to-face, your English, language arts, math, social studies, and science. You, or your children, I should say, for the virtual academy, those teachers are 100% virtual for core classes. Now, what you have to understand is they may not be associated, in this case, with Sullivan Middle School. The sections have been created. We've pulled from teachers from all 5 middle schools. So the way it works out, you may have all teachers. You may have only one teacher from Sullivan. It just depends on how that all worked out with the scheduling. So again, we just want you to be aware of that up front. However, please understand that all of our teachers are certified, highly qualified teachers in their core content area. So that should not cause a problem as far as with them teaching your children. Again, Connexus will be the base for the course. There's autonomy for teachers to create additional work to add to that. Canvas will be used as a learning management system. So it's not just going to be a sitting in front of the laptop, only logging into Connexus. There will be other resources that will be presented through the teacher to keep it engaging during this year. Students will log into their core classes each day. I've already touched base on this with attendance, but every day it's going to be taken within the first 15 minutes of each class, and they will be expected to engage in teachers' lessons for that class period every day. Each day's work in a core class will consist of, it can be independent work, small group, whole class, a variety of ways that your children will be engaged. 3 class periods each week will include digital face-to-face, conferencing and or instruction with your child's teachers. If there's concerns about scheduling, we ask initially that you go through the school's guidance counselor or liaison, because what we're doing through Connexus, all classes are being scheduled in Connexus through our data, I should say our state's database, and that's PowerSchool. So they're the ones on the front end that would be able to make those changes in PowerSchool, then converts over when it rolls over each evening to Connexus. So that's why they are initially your point of contact. Elective classes, middle school elective classes, they do vary through the different middle schools, but I want you to understand where this is going to be different than your core classes. Because of the electives that vary, the teachers within the Virtual Academy for Electives will actually be face-to-face with students as well at their middle school. So it is not like core where they are totally virtual. These are more of what we would call a hybrid. They may have 2 classes at Sullivan and 1 that's virtual, or whatever, you know, the arrangement that it is for those teachers. They will not be available like your cores to provide face-to-face sessions. Instead, they'll produce lessons, activities, assessments, other engaging work that your students will participate in during their daily schedule. And I'll talk about that a little more in a second. Virtual Academy elective courses the majority of them will be provided through Canvas. There is a time that's provided, which you did see because I think I was sharing at that time, where electives would come into play for your 6th, 7th, or 8th grade student. They will work on those 5 days a week. Again, attendance will be taken. Teacher contact information for virtual, that will be part of what they will be expected to get to you, so you would know who their elective teachers are, expectations, contact information, all of that will come from those teachers. They do differ, as I've already said, from school to school. Some things that are common, PE, health, whether 6th, 7th, or 8th grade, they are required, and possibly other electives depending on the program. And then as far as the alternating work, elective 1 and 2, this screen's going to talk a little bit more about that. You will be focused on what's in parentheses with Sullivan. The schools have done their best to divide the student population with regard to the alphabet. And in this case, Sullivan is A through K. And as you see there, elective 1, this is when students would be working on it on Tuesdays and Thursdays and Wednesdays and Fridays. And then you can also see when it comes down to the last name is K through Z, they would swap. Elective 2 is on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and elective 1 on Wednesdays and Fridays. Monday is what's designated as more of a catch-up day. Maybe you do need to reach out to a teacher. They've gotten a little behind and are just trying to play catch-up. That's going to be that Monday kind of a catch-all. Again, concerns about scheduling, go through the school liaison, the counselor. If there's other concerns through the middle school, do reach out to them, because again, that first point of contact will be able to determine, is this an issue that we need to address with Sullivan, or is it a Connexus concern? Is it a virtual academy concern? Is it a core concern that we need to, work through with the teacher? So that's why that liaison is so key for this process, to direct you in the right way, is not having to run around in circles. Important points. Any students that are on here, I'm going to be directing this to you, parents. You can share this with your student. You need to complete your own work and not plagiarize. It's kind of easy in a virtual setting to possibly, what I call, cut and paste and claim it as your own. You don't necessarily have that teacher walking around the room. You're not with others that, some could be watching. You're there, doing your own thing. And it's kind of easy to do that. Remember, if you're claiming somebody else's work or taking somebody else's work, cite them. Give them credit in a resource, but don't claim it as your own, because bottom line, plagiarism is simply cheating. Do not, students, share your login information with others, meaning we do not want you doing somebody else's work, nor do you want somebody else doing your work. This doesn't work out that way. You might be hooked up with somebody that's helping you out that's really not helping you out any. So do your own work. And then the final thing, you've heard from the staff. You have really been, I think, welcomed into the Sullivan School family. And that's what we want you to be considered, a Sullivan School student and family member. However, that does not mean that you're permitted to enter the school property just to enter. Meaning you can't decide, I want to try to hook up with somebody because this is when they have lunch. Or that you decide, I just want to walk around the school, visit some teachers, visit some friends, guidance, those things, just showing up like that. However, if you have a meeting with a guidance counselor or a staff meeting with a school staff person, I should say, if you're attending a school function where you're participating or coming to observe some type of extracurricular activity, by all means, you're more than welcome on that campus. Again, we're not trying to be mean through this process, but everybody has to be accountable for where they are, when they're on campus. And that goes not just to students, but even to staff. We want to make sure everybody's healthy, know who's been around who, so we can, monitor. And the last thing we want is something to happen in this pandemic, which we're living. So that's why we really need to monitor everybody who is on campus. More information that's coming. A hotspot I mentioned, the IT department will be getting that information out and posted. If Comporium cannot address your need for internet, then how to do that, that will be coming. How to access your student schedule. Different schools are doing it different ways. That will come from your school. Connexus, that's on my end, and central office. What we are hoping with Connexus is that it can be integrated into that launch pad. So it's more of a one click and there you are, and you're able to log into it. So that's where student name, username, password, all of that would come into play. First day of school, September 8th. We have some conversations ongoing with that. I will be meeting with virtual teachers tomorrow for the core classes. That will be part of our conversation. how to address absences. That's not teachers taking absent or attendance, but that is related to medical excuse, parent excuse, you're sick, you're ill, and you need that documented. So it's how does the school get access to that information so it can be marked appropriately in PowerSchool, so you would be marked as excused or a medical excuse or whatever the case may be. Communication, that is going to be key, not just from my end with virtual, but also through your home school Sullivan. So please be expected to continue to receive communication from your school, newsletters, social media, any other pushes that your school will be doing. Please expect that you will be informed of what's going on at the school. And again, with the liaison, I've already alluded to this, but again, scheduling, grading concerns, questions with Connexus, can't log in. Those are some things initially to work through your liaison. So again, you're pointed in the right direction. Contact information, there's the generic email. That will actually become, it is effective right now that you can respond. Most are still pointing people to if they're trying to make a switch, and we're really at the end of that. So that should convert over to where you get an automated response saying that somebody will be reaching out to you shortly. My email is on there as well if you would like to directly reach out to me. Again, the liaisons, and you can see Ms. Shackelford's there with her email address. The reason we put this up is for a number of reasons for everybody. For the fact that you may have children or relatives that are attending other schools. You may have a neighbor that's attending, well, not so much a neighbor unless you're on a dividing line, but again, this will show where you're able to make contact with those liaisons for other schools and the best way to reach Ms. Shackelford. Before I bring this to a close, and I'm going to ask then if anybody with Dr. Roland's team would like to make some final comments, I want to first thank you for participating in this. I know it's a lot of information. Do understand though that this is pushed out to YouTube. Rock Hill School District does have a YouTube channel, and this is there. I understand, I've talked to parents today that could not be present tonight. Tell them, tell relatives, tell others that all 5 school sessions will be available rather than just one. So not only will you hear this presentation, you can go back, you can say, oh, I missed that slide, I missed that email, I missed that point, you can do that. But you also get to hear again who the liaison is, if you forgot who that person was, as well as just the introduction of team members. So, you know, understand these will be readily available. And if I'm not mistaken, within the next few minutes after we close this session is when it will upload and be posted. My final comment is, please understand that the times we live, they're difficult. We get it, we understand. I've said this, I've been doing this, I've been working with juveniles, young people for 34 years, 29 years in Rock Hill schools. I can honestly say that the team members that I work with, we have your best interest in mind for your child. We know, we get it. You are sending us your most treasured possessions. When my kids were in school, they still are my treasured possessions, even though they're teaching. But when I sent them in to Rock Hill schools, they are my treasure. So understand that decisions that are being made, things that we are doing, there is never anything in mind to do anything that's just easy for us or to be a disservice for your child. It doesn't look the same. Trust me, it doesn't look the same to me the way it did back in March. It doesn't look the same to my boys who are teachers. My wife works for the school district. We get it. Things have changed. And we are doing best within those parameters to meet your needs and to meet your child's needs. I can say it's not perfect. We don't live in a perfect world, nor during this pandemic is anything perfect. You know that just from day-to-day experiences. So again, we are doing the best we can with your treasures. And I can't stress that enough. So please know my heart initially, I'm a guidance counselor, and that's my passion. I love administration, but I really love guidance and working with families and working with kids. So that truly comes from my heart, that this is what we want to do, and that is what's best for your children. So I'm done my rambling. I'm going to ask if Dr. Roland, if you'd like to close with a few comments, and maybe anybody else from your team.
Dr. Wolf, thank you very much. I agree with you. Things may be different, but we're still one family. We're Sullivan Falcons. We are the Sullivan Falcon Nation. Padres de familia, quiero que sepan que sus hijos todavía son parte de la familia de Sullivan. Somos halcones. Sus hijos no se han ido a ningún lugar. Lo que pasa es que estamos haciendo las cosas un poco diferente. Todavía estamos en un equipo como una familia. I know that there are a lot of questions. Some of those questions may pertain to our two-choice programs in terms of IB and dual language immersion. Let me tell you that as we navigate through the intricacies of this new format, this new schedule, we are also coming up with some questions. We will try to create a question and answer, frequently answer questions for our IB students, who all of our students are IB, and for dual language students, dual language immersion. We are in uncharted territories, and so we're doing our best as well. Just as we ask our teachers to grant our children grace, we also ask that you give us the opportunity to show you that although we have some challenges, we're going to do the very, very best. So Dr. Wolf, thank you for having us. Thank you to our staff. Our liaison, Ms. Shackelford, is someone that you can contact. She may not have the answer for you at the time that you send the email, but grant us 24 to 48 hours to get back with you. And we're in this together. Sullivan kids, you're still our mine. You're ours. You belong to Sullivan until further notice. But thank you again, Dr. Wall, for allowing us to be here with you.
Thank you very much. Any other team members care for any final comments? Not necessary, but just asking. Okay, I've waited my 4 to 5 seconds. So again, families, we thank you for joining us this evening. I wish that you stay safe and have a wonderful remaining evening. Y'all take care now. Bye-bye. There we go. Okay, good night.